the friend. The speaker is right over here with me, Mr. Santosh Palavish. Sir, I just request you to occupy the chair. We'll start with the ICA motor song. Can I request everyone to raise for the ICA motor song?
सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमानः निर्विमानः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता
Thank you. So today we have assembled here for understanding the blockchain in detail from the speaker. But just an introductory remarks by me. What is blockchain is well explained by the speaker. But what I know about blockchain, that it is a tamper-proof technology, a kind of tamper-proof technology which cannot be modified. It will change the world as internet has changed us in last 20 years. So in the next 10 years, blockchain is going to have a major impact on our lives. The blockchain technology stores the information in a cryptographic form, wherein it is nothing but it is chain of lot of blocks which cannot be modified, and it is in short it is a database. How big it is, but it can be stored on a blockchain. The uses blockchain is a technology which is majorly used as of now for the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a blockchain, but blockchain is a technology behind the Bitcoin. So it also has its uses in banking. It will have an impact on taxation and compliance. It will be used by the governments in the forthcoming years. So lastly, I can just say that usually people take Bitcoin and blockchain together, but it is not so. I can say that this blockchain will make voting more transparent. And lastly, I would like to say it is not spelled BITCOIN, it is spelled BLOCKCHAIN. So this general confusion which people have between Bitcoin and blockchain. So before we start, let me introduce the speaker. Welcome, sir, Mr. Santosh Palavish. He is a Bachelor of Engineering. He has right away opened and gone into the startup after his college. He has 10 years of entrepreneurial experience in digital transformation area. And he before his this startup, he was a short film director turned entrepreneur. So he has worked with 750 clients plus companies from various domains. Fintech domain has been a passion for him always. He is an active investor in cryptocurrencies and startups too. Blockchain is disrupting digital transformation, what he believes. More than currency, blockchain technology interested me to explore it. He is now in 3 years plus in the blockchain industry and is presently Chief Innovation and Digital Officer of Belfrix. It's a blockchain startup. He is responsible for helping businesses, industries, governments, banks to adopt blockchain. He is constantly innovating creative and functional ways in which blockchain can be adopted by businesses and government for better ways of transaction. He is the CEO and founder of UMM Studios and Technologies Private Limited, CEO and founder of Omnia Digital, CEO and co-founder of Takeoff Marketing Communications. he started his career as a freelancing designer, short film director during college, second year in 2007. Since 2007, then he started with his entrepreneurial practice in blockchain technology field, and it's been a good journey till now for him. It started with one employee and presently have 120 plus employees. He has ventured into advertising, branding, technology, digital marketing, blockchain with experts taking care of respective verticals, and they have more than 500 clients including Fortune 500 brands globally. They have presence in 5 countries including India, UK, Singapore. With respect to the CIO position in Belfrix, currently he is exploring ways in which blockchain can help governments and companies function better. He is currently conceptualizing and building products on blockchain technology for global market. He has won more than 12 plus awards at the national and international level. He has been nominated for Global Achiever Award Dubai 2019, NFED Award for 2015. He basically believes in energy, enthusiasm and focus. It's all about living to the fullest. Work hard, party harder. End of the day, all work and no play makes us dull. And so he believes that keep inspiring people. After all, growing alone is boring. So once again, I welcome Mr. Santosh Palivesh for the meeting.
Thank you. Take a hand out. Yes. Hello. Morning, guys. Morning, sirs. Morning. Right. Okay. First of all, I'm not a numbers person at all. Accounts though I'm a good entrepreneur, sometimes I fight with my accountant so that the numbers doesn't align with me. How many of you know Tamil comfortably? Yeah. Okay. So is equal to number of people who don't know Tamil as well. Okay. So first, before we jump into any of these discussions and etc., let's get to the layman understanding of what we are going to do, because in Saturday morning, early morning 9 o'clock, then they have to learn something before they leave auditorium is the only point of view with which I came in here. Right. So before we jump into it, I want to talk the language that you guys understand the most, money. Right. So what do you know about Bitcoin? I at least need the answers. Bitcoin and one person. Cryptocurrency. I'm looking for more specific definition. Cryptocurrency, yes, but Bitcoin is
digital money.
Then what is Paytm?
It's a platform.
But still, I can go to even a small shop and I can pay in Paytm, right? So they say Paytm me or Phone Pay me, etc. So what is the difference between Paytm and Bitcoin?
Paytm deals with an existing currency, but Bitcoin is its own currency.
Exactly right. Good. Okay. So that you're right with respect to Paytm and Phone Pay. But what about Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is based on blockchain. That is what I know.
Okay. Anybody else from that side, sir? I'm 100% sure you would have gotten some clients who says, hey, now Bitcoin market can profit on the loss on the government tax cut on the
Sort of imaginary money.
Imaginary money, I like the definition. Imaginary money. I wish I could create more imaginary money so that I can become richer in life. But okay, good. Any other?
Virtual money.
Sorry?
Virtual money.
Virtual money. Okay.
So
From
there
there.
is a central bank behind the currency.
Beautiful. Right, that is the exact answer. Applause, please. Then. Okay, so let me tell you a small story before we get into the blockchain technology. Okay, because I still believe, I don't know Excel sheet also full. Right, Excel can do wonders. MS Excel has conquered the world so much. Right, even I cannot use MS Excel to the fullest and forget the blockchains of the world and etc. Let's keep that aside for now. Let's understand the background story about why such a technology came in and etc. Stuff like that. So you all know gold ruled us. Gold coins were there, kingdoms were there, especially till 1600s. And after the Rothschild families and few other families, when they started the banking system back in 1600s, right? People who control money has power. That is when a banking system goes to a king and says, hey, I will protect your money, and king gives all the money to bank becomes more powerful, king becomes bankrupt. Flat truth, right? That is how when you see 1600 to 1800 varaikkum irukra Raja, Rani across the globe, they all start a great decline. But some of the European kingdoms, including the current kingdom of England, Duke, etc., they fairly managed to survive is because they held a few major stakes in some major banks in the European sector, right? Those kings who did not foresee the power of banking, take your a lot of Indian kingdoms, I don't want to put names to it, but a lot of Indian kingdoms and etc., who did not take control of the banking system, they lost power. people who control money, people who control currencies and etc. have power into it, right? So yes, back past the time when gold was used for transaction, RC vaanga, parp vaanga, I'll basically give gold and get back gold and etc. Right? That was what the transaction is. But gold had several of drawback, right? Gold was limited, okay, because of which economy was more sustainable, non-drastic or volatile like this. The introduction of paper currency has actually made economics more volatile. I'll come to that subject a little later. So gold had its own this thing. Gold could be stolen, right? I can take 3 coins from sir's pocket and put it in my pocket and run away, right? That was going to be a problem. Gold was heavy to carry, right? And gold by nature is very weak, so it needed copper to basically stop it. So the manufacturing cost of gold itself, points was very, costlier, right? So that all that said and done, the Mughals and some Chinese people, they wanted to create an alternative to gold, right? Okay, now this is the most important subject. So they want to create an alternative to gold. So one fine day they say, hey, paper is very light, so why don't we create an MOU or a paper kind of a currency where that is a trust based on which the transaction happens and etc. etc. And they create paper currencies, right? So all these references that I'm quoting right now are pretty much well shown in a documentary called Banking on Bitcoin. It's available on Netflix. You can go and see it so that you will understand it much better. Right, so there is a reason behind I'm coming to the story. So now suddenly people who were given gold were asked to believe on some stupid paper, right? And will you accept? Let's say till yesterday I give you gold, sir, and today suddenly I come today and ask you, hey, will you take cash, called paper? Will you take it? Definitely no. Which is the same thing that's happening currently from money into a cryptocurrency. I'm again coming back to the story. So then what happened? Mass slaughter. People were killed, right? ஒரு 400 பேரை கொண்டுட்டேன். நீங்கள் 400 வரீங்க, உங்ககிட்ட வந்து இப்போ நான் கேஷ் கரன்சி கொடுக்குறேன், வாங்குவீங்களா மாட்டீங்களா? வாங்குவோம் கண்டிப்பாக, ரைட்? ஸோ ஃபியர், threat, government political power, everything was used to basically put paper into action. See, whenever a new industry comes up, whenever a new thing comes up, couple of people get hit, especially in the front row. The Flipkart is usually successful. Where was the first guy who started an e-commerce website? He would have gotten hit, right? It has so paper money had seen its own share of bloodbath, right? But you don't know this because it all happened in 1700s and 1800s, etc. Right? Now paper was beautiful, no doubts about it. Paper was there, etc., etc. But paper still had a problem. Okay, paper could still be stolen, right? So then 1960s, 1970s, birth of internet, and paper had one more huge problem is because whenever I want, I can print more money, right? So I don't understand this question of banks coming under central banks coming under Federal Reserve, and Federal Reserve is top of government, not below government, right? So government is borrowing money from the Federal Reserve. Who's Federal Reserve? So that whole confusion was there. Let's not get into the controversies part of it right now. Let's get into the economics and the technology part. So money was there. 1960s, 1970s, birth of internet, and 1980s and 90s, the HDFCs of the world or the SBAs of the world had huge money to put on this technology called IBM mainframe and enable internet banking back then in 1970s and 1980s, right? Sorry, கவனிங்க. So அன்னைக்கு உங்களால எங்களாலையும் வந்து இன்டர்நெட் அஃபோர்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. Right, BSNL broadband back then, I don't know, 25 kbps and 56 kbps model போட்டாலே and sound level, right? We all grew from the data, right? அதில் வச்சுட்டு Google கூட login பண்ண முடியாது, forget net banking. But today Geos did a wonderful revolution, so let's forget that aside. So then what happened is when these companies invested huge on mainframes, they started converting paper money into digital currencies, not cryptocurrencies, digital currencies. So what is a digital currency? Digital currency is still controlled by central bank and is issued on a 1:1 against an existing map currency. That's a digital currency. It is also called as virtual currency. So virtual currency, digital currency is the category under which the phone pays of the world and the the Paytms of the world basically come in, including not GPay, but at least the phone pay and the Paytms of the world. Okay, but still 1990s we weren't able to afford internet, and so what we did is we went to bank, we gave huge bags of cash. We got them converted into one number in one database, and we were happy seeing that number. As long as the number goes, you don't even need to carry money in your pocket. People are still happy as long as they see more numbers. So they want to log in and see what's my balance, what's the balance. But it's as simple as I can enter in the back end like I have $1 million, and people are going to be happy. It's not real cash and etc. We started believing the numbers, right? And again, there also we saw its own set of bloodbath. 2003, 2002, when we just along online credit card take care of the right? It took me till 2011, 12, 13 to basically get used to the online credit card. Now today, including my Ola, Uber, Big Basket, Swiggy food, everything is online payment. We took, the learning curve was there before we could trust. Okay, so in all from gold to paper and paper to virtual, trust takes time. The trust is when the transition basically happens. Now again we are in the era of still the trust cycle from the real money into the crypto world. I can come back to so, but now what has happened is earlier HDFCs and SBIs invested on mainframes, but today, with all due respect, I have a Samsung Note 9, one of the most powerful phone in the world, and it can beat this laptop straight ahead. My processing power in this can beat this laptop straight ahead. Then came the question of, do I still need a bank to store large amounts of currency, which needed internet connection, which I have, which needed a good processing power, which I have, and I need to be able to transfer from party A to party B, which I could still do it. So do we still need a bank? Was a question mark that came into the mind of one crazy Satoshi Nakamoto back in 2008 when the crash happened, and he believed basically the crash happened because few individuals wanted to push and see the economic limits of how far the economics can go in terms of the Federal Reserve and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a whole controversy about the 2008 US market crash being a scam. Millions of people were left jobless and etc. Market really went down. 2008 market goes down. 2008 December, Bitcoin launches. So you need to see the correlation between that. So Bitcoin and blockchain came out as live in 2008 December by Satoshi Nakamoto, who is still a very anonymous identity. We don't know if he's alive or not, and etc. Stuff like that. But blockchain as a concept has been there since 1982. It's not anything new. Bitcoin made it big. How a KGF movie is required to make Canada industry big, same way Bitcoin was needed to basically make blockchain big. Blockchain has been there from 1982, and blockchain was a technology that was invented to beat IBM's mainframe, because IBM's mainframe is costly. You need to buy this room full of computers to store few GB of data, whereas somebody published a paper on distributed data saving, right? So 1982 was the blockchain, but Bitcoin is what it made blockchain become popular. So the story is kind of clear now. Okay, now before we jump detail into cryptocurrencies and blockchain and stuff, I have a small video to play for you guys. So that will help you understand what and how a blockchain works. Will the audio work?
Many people think of blockchain as the technology that powers Bitcoin. While this was its original purpose, blockchain is capable of so much more. Despite the sound of the word, there's not just one blockchain. Blockchain is shorthand for a whole suite of distributed ledger technologies that can be programmed to record and track anything of value, from financial transactions to medical records or even land titles. You might be thinking, we already have processes in place to track data. What's so special about blockchain? Let's break down the reasons why blockchain technology stands to revolutionize the way we interact with each other. Reason number one, the way it tracks and stores data. Blockchain stores information in batches called blocks that are linked together in a chronological fashion to form a continuous line, metaphorically, a chain of blocks. If you make a change to the information recorded in a particular block, you don't rewrite it. Instead, the change is stored in a new block, showing that X changed to Y at a particular date and time. Sound familiar? That's because blockchain is based on the centuries-old method of the general financial ledger. It's a non-destructive way to track data changes over time. Here's one example. Let's say there was a dispute between Anne and her brother Steve over who owns a piece of land that's been in the family for years. Because blockchain technology uses the ledger method, there is an entry in the ledger showing that Adam first owned the property in 1900. When Adam sold the property to Dave in 1930, a new entry was made in the ledger, and so on. Every change of ownership of this property is represented by a new entry in the ledger, right up until Anne bought it from their father in 2007. Anne is the current owner, and we can see that history in the ledger. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Unlike the age-old ledger method, originally a book, then a database file stored on a single system, blockchain was designed to be decentralized and distributed across a large network of computers. This decentralizing of information reduces the ability for data tampering and brings us to the second factor that makes blockchain unique. It creates trust in the data. Before a block can be added to the chain, a few things have to happen. First, a cryptographic puzzle must be solved, thus creating the block. The computer that solves the puzzle shares the solution to all of the other computers on the network. This is called proof of work. The network will then verify this proof of work, and if correct, the block will be added to the chain. The combination of these complex math puzzles and verification by many computers ensures that we can trust each and every block on the chain. Because the network does the trust building for us, we now have the opportunity to interact directly with our data in real time. And that brings us to the third reason blockchain technology is such a game changer. No more intermediaries. Currently, when doing business with one another, we don't show the other person our financial or business records. Instead, we rely on trusted intermediaries, such as a bank or lawyer, to view our records and keep that information confidential. These intermediaries build trust between the parties and are able to verify, for example, that yes, Anne is the rightful owner of this land. This approach limits exposure and risk, but also adds another step to the exchange, which means more time and money spent. If Anne's land title information was stored in a blockchain, she could cut out the middleman, her lawyer, who would ordinarily confirm her information with Steve. As we now know, all blocks added to the chain have been verified to be true and can't be tampered with, so Anne can simply show Steve her land title information secured on the blockchain. Anne would save considerable time and money by cutting out the middleman. This type of trusted peer-to-peer interaction with our data can revolutionize the way we access, verify, and transact with one another. And because blockchain is a type of technology and not a single network, it can be implemented in many different ways. Some blockchains can be completely public and open to everyone to view and access. Others can be closed to a select group of authorized users, such as your company, a group of banks, or government agencies. And there are hybrid public-private blockchains too. In some, those with private access can see all the data, while the public can see only selections. In others, everyone can see all the data, but only some people have access to add new data. A government, for example, could use a hybrid system to record the boundaries of Anne's property and the fact that she owns it while keeping her personal information private. Or it could allow everyone to view property records, but reserve to itself the exclusive right to update them. It is a combination of all these factors, decentralizing of the data, building trust in the data, and allowing us to interact directly with one another and the data, that gives blockchain technology the potential to underpin many of the ways we interact with one another. But, much like the rise of the internet, this technology will bring with it all kinds of complex policy questions around governance, international law, security, and economics.
So I'm pretty sure that in some bit of what is blockchain was basically clear from that, right? So let me show you a small demonstration to understand blockchain more in detail, right? So I would like to have you on stage, both of you. Yeah. Very small demonstration. So what blockchain is this. For example, let's say I'm business A, right, and he's business B. So I take his services and I'm supposed to pay him, and he is the bank. Yeah. Okay. So. So I have made the payment for the services I received from this gentleman, right? And how much did I pay?
500.
Right? So 500 is the amount that I paid for him, but can you show how much did I pay you? Right? Right. So that's 100. Right? Now this is what is happening in the traditional system. I'm not saying banks are cheating and stuff like that, but yes, there are certain levels of all this PNB scams, your Malia scams and etc. because of some non-openness. Okay, is causing this, right? Thank you. You can be here, right? Okay. So now the second, what blockchain here truly does is, right? So I'm paying him 500, so there are close to, let's say, 25 people in this room. So I'm paying him 500. So how much did I pay him right now? 500, as simple as that. So if I need to kind of do any sort of manipulation, so I have decentralized the entire accounting part of it now. Now if I need to kind of manipulate, then I'll have to buy out at least 51% of you guys to in my favor, which is largely impossible, right? That is all what blockchain is all about. So you get it? So it's more of, into decentralized. So as long as the taxi is controlled by, as long as the taxi is controlled by one single company called Fast Track, for example, they can control the prices, they can set the prices, etc. But the moment it becomes decentralized like an Uber, Central to Velachery used to cost, I don't know, 500, 600 rupees with buy an auto, but today I'm getting it at 225 rupees. It's purely because of decentralization. So that is actually what blockchain is capable of. So that's a technology, right? So now currencies built over the blockchain from a peer-to-peer transaction is basically called cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies are basically currencies that skip the governance of central banks, and I can directly transact with you, right? So how does cryptocurrency gets generated, etc., etc. I'm not diving deep into it because there are some technical terms into it, mining and etc., etc., which is not our concern, right? But using Bitcoin, for example, I can even wire 100 crores to you, and central bank will not even know, not even you would know, not even I would know, and it's completely anonymous. Bitcoin is completely anonymous. You won't know the sender, you won't know the receiver, etc., etc. And Bitcoin is only one among the 2,500 cryptocurrencies that's there in the world right now. Here, even you or me can go and start a cryptocurrency as long as we have the power to make it popular and make people have trust in it and use it. Then why not? Okay. Now let's forget the cryptocurrency aspect, because cryptocurrency has always had its fair bit of controversies, right? So in India they say Bitcoin is illegal. So let me just clarify that a bit. Bitcoin is not illegal, right? But Bitcoin is unregulated. So which means if something happens over a Bitcoin transaction, no central bank or no banks will take responsibility. So it's not illegal to hold Bitcoins in India. But yes, there are some countries, even to some extent in Russia, a few states, for example, holding cryptocurrencies itself is illegal. Versus take a country like Japan. We all respect Japan for their technology, innovation, etc. In Japan, cryptocurrencies are completely legal. They have ATMs for their, so the payment process will be like credit card, debit card, cash, and Bitcoin. You have Bitcoin's ATM there, etc., etc. It's US, it's legal, and some part of Spain it's legal. Then Poland, Georgia, some bits of France, some bits of Africa. There are a lot of countries, close to around 30 plus countries have already legalized Bitcoin and cryptocurrency usage. Okay, but there's a lot of problem that comes with Bitcoin. How do we tax it? Because governments don't get benefited, and how can us as the chartered accountants also take control over things and etc. is still a very big question mark. Okay, so the solution we'll discuss that in a bit. But this is what the cryptocurrency is basically done to. But where is the world moving towards, and what are basically the benefits of cryptocurrency is, with respect to paper currency, the demand supply, the supply is literally unlimited. Whenever you want, you can print it times. But with respect to cryptocurrency, take a Bitcoin for example, the supply is limited. So the logic for this is brought in from gold, where the gold supply is limited. So same way the currency supply has to be limited so that it doesn't get volatile over a period of time. So that's the whole concept on the cryptocurrency aspect of it. Okay. Now before we deep dive into the other subject, major subject, okay, let me just take you through a bit of what our firm is into. Right, so my small bit of journey before we jump deep dive into it. So I'm like rightly introduced me. For example, I'm a mechanical engineer by profession, but know nothing of mechanical. I can't even fix a tire puncture, right? But I got into technology pretty early, and I was building mobile applications, web applications, and etc. And business was going good. I scaled from one-man organization into almost 120, 150 people organization, expanded to like 3+ countries, and etc., etc., etc. But 2014 is when I got a very interesting project in my company. Right, so somebody named Bill Fix, which is this company, approached me saying, hey, there is something called Bitcoin, and we are creating a cryptocurrency exchange, which is very similar to your Sharekhan and etc. to create a platform where buying and selling of cryptocurrencies become possible. And for me, the project sounded exciting, and we took it. And back then in 2014, I believed Bitcoin was a scam, right? And Bitcoin back then was around $80. If only I had bought for even 10 lakh rupees, I would have been sitting on 200 crores right now. But anyways, coming to the other part. So now Belfix has grown from 2014 to, so blockchain everywhere. I basically ran you through what blockchain is, right? So blockchain as an industry, which all industry it will come and impact is this. I'll get to the slide in a bit. Okay, but before that, this is a group CEO. Okay, so he's Praveen Kumar. He's basically an Indian producer from Malaysia. So he started this company. So the journey goes like this. 2014 is when we started exploring the blockchain industry. So 2014, bitcoins were very nascent. It was just about to take that boom and etc. 2016 we started business in Singapore. Because India obviously has no license and etc. So 2016 is when we started our business in Singapore. We started a cryptocurrency exchange. So we built a platform where people could convert their fiat money into cryptocurrencies, trade it on a daily basis, day trading or whatever it is, profits and loss and etc. And again withdraw bit back into the fiat currencies. So 2016 we also saw the future of blockchain as a technology, how it will impact various governments, banks and etc. So we created our software division called Belfix BT. 2017 we went into rigorous expansion mode. We expanded to India, we expanded to Middle East, we expanded to African region. In fact in Africa we are the number one brand, at least when it comes to East Africa. Right? 2017 we also wanted to solve a particular problem. Blockchain was not openly accepted by banks and governments because of anonymity. It's completely anonymous. So we wanted to solve the problem. We started creating a technology of it, which is when the KYC as an identity blockchain we have devised it. Just to give you information, even Aadhaar, when the first project was done, Aadhaar 1.0 by Infosys for example, which is the card that we all have now, it's centralized, it's not decentralized. Aadhaar 2.0 is again led by Nandan Ilkeni and they are completely enabling it to blockchain. I think the project should start by 2020. Already the bills have been passed and stuff like that, right? So that's a fair bit of journey. Now let me take you to verticals. So currently we are done over 12 countries actually, not only 10. So that includes Mexico, Spain, Poland, Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong and India. So that's where we are there. And we are looking at expanding in countries where we get central bank licenses. So in a country like India, for example, there's no central bank license yet for a cryptocurrency business. The closest is a e-payments bank license, which is what is being held by your phone pays and Paytms and Airtel Money and etc. Right? So we kind of have gotten that license, but it's still not a 100% cryptocurrency license as such. And in India, banking support is not there for cryptocurrency business. So none of the banks support cryptocurrency business. So currently our business is at halt. We are not operating in India, but that doesn't mean there aren't other players. There are other players still doing, people like CoinX and etc. are still doing cryptocurrency business here, right? And as a group, we are totally around 250 plus people, and we are valued at $400 million. We have more than 25,000 clients worldwide. And apart from that, with respect to blockchain, we have 7 ongoing POCs, large tenders, and 2 government projects ongoing. One from Andhra Pradesh, the ration system. Ration card, where the supply chain part of it in Andhra Pradesh is completely now blockchain enabled. But again, at the POC stage, if the bill is passed, that will be done into real-time implementation. So this is for fair trade for farmers, from the consumer, from the farmers, from the produce, se leke, the processing, manufacturing, buying, procurement, the logistics, till it reaches the citizens' hand through ration shops and etc. We wanted to enable fair trade. This was an initiation created by Chandrababu Naidu sir. So we met them, we did the POC, KPMG. Evaluated us, so there was 10 people, it brought down to 3 and 2 people won the POCs, we were one among them and we did the successful POC test. Now obviously bill has to be passed for it to become real time, so that's one of the government projects. The second government project is we have it in Africa. So our verticals are this, so that's our crypto exchange. So it's very simple, it's a web platform or a mobile platform where you can go, register your business and finish your KYC. And all you need to do is top up your US dollars or Singapore dollars based on whichever country you register, and you can start buying and selling cryptocurrencies, right? And it is a separate world by itself, in fact a much larger world compared to even the stock market and etc. Where stock market sees maybe an aggressive stock sometimes can see even 15-20% rise in a day, but there are coins that shows up to 400-500% rise in a day. At the same time, it also goes minus 400%, minus 500% in a day as well. So there is a risk element involved in it, but Bitcoin has fairly become stable, at least after the past crash of 2017 and 2018 beginning. Now it's on par with stocks. It just does a violation of 2 to 3% on a daily basis. It's still a good number when compared to your slow-moving stocks, and companies like Geo don't come every day, right? So you can't rely on this. So we have listed over than 15 cryptocurrencies right now. And second is one of a product called BT18. It's nothing but the same platform, but we kind of have taken the Zerodha model. The Zerodha model, basically, if people want to start cryptocurrency businesses, So they don't need to worry about the liquidity, the licenses, the technology. So we give them all that is required, so they can register a company and they can start procuring the technology from us, and they can start the business from day one, right? So Belfix BT is our technology wing. So there we are looking at developing various blockchain projects, ICO development, and other blockchain consultation. We have a 150-member tech team sitting out of Bangalore and in Malaysia as well, right? And this is an app which is more of a community development that we developed. It's live in Play Store and App Store. It's called Encrypts. So people who want to know more about blockchain, what's happening across the blockchain industry, what's happening in the crypto industry. So they can download this app. It's basically a news aggregator that takes news from all over the internet, crunches it into less than 60 words for you to consume faster. If you guys know an app called InShots in India, it's on a similar model to that, and you can select and you can read customized news also in it. So all that's happening across the blockchain domain basically is brought down to you on your fingertips. Okay, now this is an interesting thing. So we had a very specific problem when we were trying to scale up the company, is because the knowledge about blockchain wasn't there, and we weren't able to get blockchain developers, right? So because of which, what we did is we floated a Belfix Academy. It's basically our learning division. Let me just show you that. So we basically started a academy, and we started working on partnership model. So what we defined is we started creating curriculum. So we have close to 7 curriculum. So this is a blockchain protocol developer course. We have blockchain developer, which is hands-on coding, right? And L1, L2, L3. And we have a blockchain architect, which is very similar to a software architect. We have a blockchain project manager course. We have program manager course, and for people who are not interested in the hands-on part but want to know the business angle of it, for example, all of us can basically look at taking this blockchain business developer course. So here we look at partnering with corporates, universities or agencies like ICAI, and our blockchain experts from Singapore will fly down and they take a good training session of that. So that starts from even a 1-day training session to even we have a 90 days certified blockchain programming course as well. In fact, we partnered with like ICAI of ACCA. ACCA is so we are partnered with the ACCA in Africa basically to issue blockchain certification program only for chartered accountants, right? So that's a specialization, because what is happening is Nigeria has made cryptocurrency legal, SA has made cryptocurrency legal, but you don't get cryptocurrency and blockchain auditors, right? Unless there's no certified people who can do good and who can do bad. So we launched a certification program in partnership with ACCA, and which is something we want to discuss with ICA as well, right? And this is our product, flagship product. So one of the major problems that we saw with respect to blockchain is anonymity, right? Blockchain is always anonymous. You don't know who's sending money to whom and etc. So we wanted to create a identity into the blockchain, right? So how do you identify a person? How do I identify party A and party B? Now why I need to identify? The reason I need to identify is basically I can tax them, nothing else, right? You cannot fight a government. Government is too big. Though blockchain, Bitcoin's major purpose was to kind of skip central bank, kind of skip governments and etc. You cannot skip a government. I mean, the government has been there for a good 400, 500 years right now. It's not an entity or a community that you can fight up right with that. So the only way we can do it is how do you join hands with them and make sure that blockchain travels along with them. So we want to create an identity blockchain wherein every person is identified for various purposes. Could be for transaction, etc., etc. So Belgium is a blockchain. It's a private public blockchain, like as explained in the video. So Belgium blockchain, which is our product, is a network. It's a network. It's a network with the KYC in the center of the heart. KYC in the center of the heart. In the ecosystem, there can be your company registries, MCAs, corporates, tax authorities, bank, judicial bodies. Everybody can come into a blockchain system, right? So all the countries are moving towards building a national level blockchain. Estonia is the first country to have brought it up. Lithuania is doing it right now. US is doing up. Australia is doing up right now. And very soon, maybe 5 years or a decade from now, India will also have an India chain. Project discussions have already started. So that will be a national level blockchain where all the corporates, government agencies, everybody will be plugged in. So any party transacting from A to B can be immediately identified, and taxations and etc. can happen, right? Okay, now the beauty about blockchain is you can write something called smart contracts. Smart contracts is the key behind the blockchain technology. What are smart contracts is, whenever a blockchain detects a transaction, right, you can enable a smart contract to do a specific function. Okay, now what does that mean? For example, I go to a coffee day or a Starbucks and I buy a coffee for 100 rupees. Let's say, for example, 4% is the VAT. Now what is happening is if I'm a very smaller coffee shop, I do that month-end taxing or quarterly taxing, or sometimes in some countries yearly taxing, etc., etc. And some cash I put in pocket, I don't even tax it, or I do my fair bit of account manipulation in the back end and I evade tax, right? And that's what a lot of people do, right? So what will happen when crypto money basically comes in tomorrow, if crypto rupee comes in, etc., that money can be programmed to do a specific function. So which means if I go and spend the same 100 rupees in a Starbucks, if I swipe at Starbucks, the smart contract can detect that that particular POS, okay, so that particular POS belongs to this particular corporate, which belongs to F&B sector, whose taxation is 4%, and it will auto deduct the 4 rupees and transfer it straight to the taxation department, and 96 rupees only will go to Starbucks. We are talking about instant taxation. That's one of the possibilities that can come out in blockchain. Okay, so like this you can do smart contracts for literally for anything and everything. But here the most important thing is you need to identify that the POS machine was a Starbucks machine, which is not there right now. It's a blank POS. You don't have an identity part of it. So identity we are not talking only for human beings. We are also talking about for the machines, IoT devices, and etc. So L&T is putting up an entire smart chain for storing all the records, all the transaction of a smart city back in Gandhinagar, right? So that they have a lot of smart contracts. They even record which vehicle is speeding up, which vehicle is skipping, signals and etc. Various possibilities. So now coming to the industries that blockchain will impact, right? It will literally impact all the industries where trust is not there. I don't trust the judicial system, I don't trust the taxation system, government doesn't trust me, right? So all that. So if you ask a question, does Flipkart need blockchain? Definitely no. There is no non-trust in that. Flipkart has already as a brand has been enabled, and if you buy it's going to get delivered. So there's no compelling purpose for it. But at the same time, between a bank and me, I need trust. Bank doesn't trust me, it thinks I'm going to run away, right? And I don't trust a bank either. So that's what we can do. So here, so blockchain will impact obviously payments, right? The moment why would I pay 5 rupees for NEFT when my money is being transferred to you, right? Why would I pay a third party entity? Yeah, it's maybe a stupid thought according to you, but the crypto world runs on it, right? So that's the run payments as an industry, escrow accounts, custody services as an industry, supply chain, trade finance, right? Your security exchange commissions, your BSEs, and etc. Where why has to be a share price be different in 2 different places? And the cases still happen. Right? Why does it have to be different in 2 different places, right? So those kind of places, and the customer acquisition loyalty points in the currency sector, assets, real estate for example, any judicial system, 67 to 70%, especially in India, is filled with land dispute cases. It's a very, very basic, simple land dispute cases. Are we talking about 1.2 billion country, 1.2 billion people country, can't store land records properly, right? You have the same documents that you own it, I have the same documents that I own it, right? So those are the cases that it can actually come to, real estate. So in Dubai, the prototype has already been approved and they are implementing real estate. And as Belfix, we are also proud to say Belfix passport. If you go to Dubai, the moment they swipe your passport in immigration, the blockchain has been powered by us. So we won the tender and we are doing it right now in accordance with the policy and etc. Right? So the real estate industry where trust is not there, that will get in. Contracts, IP detection, contract rights. I make a video, I put on YouTube, somebody steals and do it. What's the right? It belongs to me. So those kind of aspects, IP detection, my company's intellectual property, where there is trust not there. So those all will be this thing. Legal, insurance. Insurance. In fact, in Belfix, we are working with this Chennai company called Dr. Smiles Dental Clinic on enabling insurance, creating a trust between the insurance, doctors, and patients. So we are doing an insurance automated on blockchain. So that's happening. Obviously, your identity management, your KYC, etc. Election voting. So we have bid even for Mexico's voting function. The tenders are still in progress. And IoT, auditing and compliance, etc. So these are all the industries that blockchain will impact, right? Okay. Now, how do we as ICAI, right, can get geared up to blockchain revolution? So we did see about blockchain, what is blockchain, etc. Right. So some of the immediate use cases that blockchain can bring onto ICA are these. I think pretty much self-explanatory, right? I don't know if I'm with the right CA, if he's allowed to practice or not. I don't know. I didn't check it out. All I can trust is, let's say I can put a visiting card like this with all this logo. There's logos around everywhere, but this logo has value, right? But I don't know your I don't know, certification number. I'm sure you will have a certification number that's not there in the business card, but I'm sorry to say I don't know if your word is not fake. Right? So I'm sorry to use that word, but so that's the problem. So
No, it is a decentralized network. Everyone knows.
I get that. I get that. So I don't know as a business owner, where do I go and validate? And should I write an email to ICAI or how do I do that? So the member management, I don't know. What should you do to basically lose this identity? I'm asking. I mean, are people removed?
No,
or
I know what should I not do. I don't know what.
Exactly. Can you mention anyone?
Maybe I should not engage in any fraud.
Okay. Okay. Now, how can I make sure that the CAI hire has never done any fraud? I know there's no system in place, or maybe I do not know the system, right? So those kind of things, right? How do all the CAs get to know that hey, he's out of the network or he's still a member, he's an active member, etc., and stuff like that. So the member management can be very effective. Yeah, please.
If blockchain comes into the picture,
Yes.
how can you say that? I mean, what will be the future if all the questions which you have raised, if blockchain comes into the picture, what will be the future? Can you just say that?
Come again and get your question.
You are saying as of now, the person cannot verify whether he is a right chartered accountant or
Correct.
any frauds. If blockchain is there, what will be the scenario?
Simple. So what the scenario is, now, still I can go to this gentleman and ask, hey, are you a proper member of ICA and etc. And I'm sure he will show me a letter or something with some number and etc. It could still be fake. Correct? So now what will I do is, I will take that letter, maybe go to whoever is the head of ICA or the ICA department and go get vetted and verified and validated, saying, and they go through database and say, hey, this man is valid, you can go and do business with him. Now why do you want me to come to Nungambakam all the way or write an email and etc. etc. So what blockchain can do is, all I need to do is if he has a QR code or if he has a name or if he has an ID number, I ping onto the blockchain, right? So what blockchain smart contract first does is, it verifies his identity on a first level, that hey, is this Vikram Singh Viji and his number is so and so, so and so, so and so. He claims to be an active member of ICAI. Once the first level validation is done, the smart contract can automatically enable a second level validation by the association code, right? And if I get a tick mark there as well, then I get instant, almost real time update that okay, he's still a part of it. As simple as that.
But even now we have that technology. Right?
Like,
You can just
Sir,
log into the ICA website and just check his membership.
it's again centralized, it's not decentralized. It's again centralized. It's not decentralized. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is how do I say that? So it's like a Excel sheet. Like you guys are typing it out, and if I know the right guy inside your IT department, I can make my way through.
So basically, other members in the institute will also vet.
Exactly, you got it.
So you just
Yes,
have
exactly.
confirmation
Now that is not there in the system, right? Other industry will also know that. Other people know that they will also be
How
vetted.
can you trust other person who's saying that he has not done fraud? Even that, at one point in time, you have to place trust on somebody else.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry.
Say in this case, for example, what he is told.
Yes.
A major audience or fellow chartered accountants are betting the fact that he has not done fraud or he is a right chartered accountant for you to do.
Correct. Yes.
But in that case also, you are placing reliance on them. or
Correct.
their-
But here we are trying to reach a three-party consensus. I need to first know, and the concerned person is giving an accreditation, and the body, which is the ICA, also has to accredit. Or accredit. So if we reach a consensus, then the trust is enabled. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? But today, yes, the system is there, I can go and log in, etc. It's a very independently owned system, and all I need to do is I need to find out who the IT guy is who's managing your DB, and I'm through your system. Very, very simple. That is tamper proof, like you saw in the video. We can't do that. What happens here is, if at all somebody by mistake added a number and enabled a person or disabled a person, that log is also still recorded, and he or she can be immediately found and he can be sacked. Right? So the entire member management can be done over that. Okay, now what is the other aspect of member management is your automated fee collection. Do you pay fees to become a member, annual fees and etc. etc. That all can be completely been automated. So people, I'm assuming people don't pay fees with a limited time will also be thrown out of the network and etc. That can be automated. So as when I register, if I can also put in the bank account, you don't even need to ask them, it will auto renew. Right? So those kind of peer-to-peer transfer, but obviously with this permission, it not without this permission. So that can also be brought on to ICAI. The next is always the second layer.
Automation is still there. I mean, if we give an ECS box, it's still there. But only thing you're trying to relate is it will be decentralized.
Decentralized, and that's the basic. Second is basically the student management, right? And what is the student management? What I mean is his learning pattern, right? His way of this thing, the way he consumes the number of classes, number of hours, and etc. For me to assess whether he's a bright CA or a non-bright CA, and etc. His practice hours, etc. etc. can also be brought onto the student management. So this was an idea given for us by ACCA because apparently in Africa a lot of people don't complete the number of hours of course that they're supposed to do. right? Because of which they end up doing either shabby work or some malfunctions and etc. So that to avoid that, they also wanted to bring in the student management that only if you do that 60 hours, for example, 60 hours, 100 hours of work of course consumption etc., your certificate will be given and stuff like that. So that can also be brought onto the blockchain. Third is definitely the certificate issuance. Certificate issuance is very simple, like I told you, the certificate is there, all I need is your mobile application to ping it, and it's not basically to validate myself, but to if I ping your ID, the ICAI basically can validate it. Now here's where the beauty is. With this certificate issuance, what ICAI can do is, why would ICAI take all the efforts to validate you for me, right? It can charge me 100 rupees of validation, and I won't mind spending, for example, 100 rupees before engaging a CA to enable whether I'm with the right person or not. 100 rupees for an argument could be 1,000 rupees or whatever it is. So that is also possible in certificate issuance and verification also, right? So yeah, so that's so if you see here, for example, what are the advantages is smart contracts. Yes, smart contracts you can write it. For example, if a particular CA has been doing some kind of inconsistencies, which if you can define it as a smart contract, he can be automatically removed out of the system. Those kind of smart contracts are completely possible, right? And distributed ledgers. In fact, there is a project from IBM to create an accounting ledger which will write on top of your QuickBooks, on top of your tallies, on top of your etc., to store the digital records and assets over there in a private, confidential manner, accessible only by the government with permission from the CAs. Without that, they can't basically do it. Again, a permission layer blockchain. So that project also coming up from IBM and etc. Right? So data is immutable, live data, automation, audit trail, encryption, digital currencies. These are all the benefits that brings in. So member management, I basically explained to you. Member management can also be this. I'm sure we'll have to get an NOC from the existing CA before I move on to the next person, right? Now, unofficially, a lot of things happen. I hire somebody and I can still go hire somebody else, etc. So here, what will happen is, once if the member management is on blockchain, I can go and find a new CA and I give him my ID. He needs to ping my old CA to transfer the records, and only with this permission, the entire access will be completely transferred, rather than me going to a book B or a book C and etc. That is also possible through the member management. Student management, I told you, issuance of certificates, student programs, etc. Certificate issuance, yes, ICAI can issue the certificate itself on a blockchain. That's going to be definitely a huge thing, because government will anyways be pushing ICAI into this, at least in the next 1 or 2 years is what we are seeing, the trend from the west to the here. So all the ICAI certificates can come on blockchain, right? E-courses on blockchain, your learning management. So looking at the way somebody performs the courses, performs the exam, I'll be able to assess the quality of the CA and then engage with them. Right? Fee collection, like I told you, it can completely be automated rather than doing manual reminders, sending email reminders, asking them to pay and etc., which is a kind of a tedious process. This can be completely automated as well. Right? And this is the ICAI private blockchain. This is going to be huge. This should be more of an initiative from ICAI to hold a ICAI private blockchain for all the chartered accountancy operations. If I am a chartered accountant and I take care of, let's say, 20 companies, all 20 companies' record will be on blockchain under my identity, private only to me, right? And if government asks with permission, I can basically launch it. So when the all the companies want to store the data onto the blockchain, ICAI blockchain can be the lead to do it, and you can charge the companies on an annual basis, let's say 10,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees or whatever it is to do the data storing onto it. That again becomes an additional revenue model to ICAI. So these are the various possibilities with which blockchain can basically get into ICAI. And yes, some of the technologies that's there in blockchain right now is, the lead is Hyperledger. Hyperledger is basically by IBM. They are open source framework for building blockchains and etc. So anybody can go and learn Hyperledger and still do it. But we have Belgium is our own KYC blockchain that we have built on top of the Hyperledger to get things done, etc. Right? So I pretty much come to the end of my presentation. So I'm open to questions now, with respect to cryptocurrencies or blockchain as a technology, etc., etc., etc.
You were mentioning about blockchain audit.
Sorry?
Blockchain audit.
Okay.
Can you just elaborate on that?
Okay, see, blockchain audit is more of an automated audit, because once things come on blockchain, you have all the records already stored on a block to block, right? So which means all that can happen is your entire audit can come in a second when you can just needing it. Let me just show you an example here. It's a standard internet. Is it standard internet?
What do you want?
No, is this connected to internet? It's connected. I'll have it. Yes, yes, yes. So let it load.
The technician.
I'll just connect to my Wi-Fi. One second. Okay, so with respect to audit, so the blockchain audit, so let me just take you through this. So this is a typical blockchain explorer. It's pretty much like you can see it. Okay, so this is a Bitcoin or a Ethereum explorer. So this is completely open, right? It's completely open. Anybody can access it, and etc. Okay, so now what happens here is, I take one cryptocurrency, right? One cryptocurrency. Let's say I have Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency here. So if you see here, right? So these are blocks that is being formed in regular intervals. The fonts are not clear here, but if you see here, the first block 10 minutes ago, second block 19 minutes ago, third block 33 minutes ago, etc., etc., etc. So what's happening here is all the transactions are being recorded almost on a real-time basis. So let's say if I take here, so this one block, for example, 571436, this is a block in a blockchain, has 2,853 transactions recorded every day, right? So this is a live blockchain example here. So if you click on transactions here, so these are all the transactions. Do you see that? 5 seconds ago, 4 seconds ago, 3 seconds, it's getting updated here. So this is the number of times people are exchanging Bitcoins across the globe. Whoever exchanges, from Japan to Africa to Europe to India to anybody, everything gets updated almost on a real-time basis with the BTC amount and with the equivalent US dollar amount. The transactions are loaded real-time. Okay, now imagine a blockchain for ICAI. You can still gather data because data is everything in the future, right? So if you have an ICAI blockchain here, you can have who is transacting or filing for who almost on a second basis. But here it's not an open statement. So I wouldn't be knowing how a Vikram Singhvi is doing for whom and etc. Even here if you see, the transaction is an encrypted word. It says some numbers and etc. etc. So the transactions are recorded. So even if Vikram Singhvi is filing for somebody of taxation or doing some kind of transaction on the network and etc., it will still be encrypted and it will be gone. So I can click on any one transaction. I'm clicking on a particular transaction. So here if you see some details about the transaction comes. So here the person's name is not shown, the receiver's name is not shown, only the amount is shown, the value of transaction is shown because they want to enable fair play. Okay, now again imagine a blockchain for ICAI, for example, your name won't be shown, your client's name won't be shown, but the filing amount and etc. can be shown if required. Okay, but ICAI can release this private information to government or judicial body or to police when things are required at a cost. That's also possible. So that's how basically a blockchain works. Now coming to the blockchain audit part of it, since all the transactions are being recorded almost on real-time basis, it just is all the reports are just a click away. All the reports are just a click away in terms of taking the entire audit. So which means if there is a blockchain of ICAI governing all the operations by all the CAs etc., government can actually get all the information within a flick of a second.
Then there is no requirement of audit.
Debatable, definitely debatable. Okay, but I think we are talking. Whatever you are saying might happen, but I think it's at least 50-60 years down the line. Maybe not immediately as such. And I don't see still bookkeeping needs auditors. Governance need auditors, etc., etc. Right? Certain bit of it can be automated, and some technology might remove this. But blockchain could still be designed in such a way to hold third-party vendors. This is a case that we faced in supply chain of Andhra Pradesh also. We could have cut the middleman completely. From farm, they're ready to produce also, but we didn't want to do that because India is a land of middlemen, employment comes into question, etc., etc. So we design the blockchain in such a way that they also play a prominent role into it, right? So this is more of a live, transaction, and so this is only for Bitcoin. So that's for Ethereum, that is for etc., etc., and stuff like that. So you can also note on this website called Coin Market Cap, right? So if you see here, Coin Market Cap gives a list of all the cryptocurrencies in the world.
So okay, regarding the cryptocurrency part,
Sorry?
Keeping the cryptocurrency part apart,
Yeah.
be speaking about the recording of the transactions in a unique manner, with not changing in the previous one, but recording a new transaction,
Yes.
which is a similar thing happening in any ERP also. But what is the USP of blockchain rather than
It's again not, your ERPs are not synced, number one. Your ERPs are centralized, number one. For example, I'll take you this, my tally, for example, if that's a club to ICA blockchain, all my filings are recorded, right? I can't tamper it again, and if at all I try to tamper my tally records few days before the filing just to cut taxes, it will be showed as another transaction here, so I can be easily caught, right? So that kind of trust and transparency is not possible in a independent ERP. So the problem is, there are a lot of ERPs, but you have a ERP separately, he has ERP separately, you have a custom ERP, he uses the QuickBooks, he uses the Tally. There are so many softwares. So which to believe, what to believe, always ends up in a confusion. So if there is a common blockchain where all the records are completely being stored, there is a kind of a trust and transparency that can be evoked, right? Which is slightly could debate your work ethics, but from the government point of view, if they want trust and transparency, they will ask you to push it into a blockchain. But coming to our work ethics of being a CA, being good for our clients and etc., I understand your question, it's still a debatable, right? And that requires discussions back and forth, brainstorming on how do you basically solve the particular problem. That's the thing. Right. So this is Coin Market Cap. This has a list of all the cryptocurrencies, what is the volume of trade, what is the percentage change, etc., etc., etc. This can be used for your study purposes and things like that. Okay. Now coming to blockchain, before I conclude, coming to blockchain growth in India, India has been seeing tremendous growth in terms of blockchain as an industry as such. Okay. One is India is trying to capture the blockchain outsourcing market like it used to capture the call centers and IT and etc. on the technology side. So that is happening on one side. The other part of this is there is a huge demand for blockchain enabled and certified auditors across the globe. I'm not talking only about India, across the globe. In fact, I think if I'm not wrong, Harvard has also launched executive certification of blockchain expertise for CES etc. to do it, because globally, and especially I know I have a lot of friends in PwC and KPMG. They are, especially Singapore branch, they are hiring blockchain auditors left, right, center, because blockchain is and cryptocurrency is the fastest industry to reach $1 trillion mark. We are at $800 billion industry right now. Within 10 years to reach $1 trillion mark, blockchain is the first industry. And the number of auditors to supply for the blockchain-based companies is very less. So we have a company in India, but our auditor is sort of Singapore. He does all the work, but we get it signed from a CA here and kind of give it over there, right? And especially in the CA sector, there's a lot of blockchain courses that are available both online as well as physical courses as well. So that's definitely going to be a very, very huge demand for blockchain. And as a first comer, if you go step in, what are the advantages basically you can take it, right? Some of the best auditors who are already blockchain certified are already there in Indian Blockchain Council fighting for cryptocurrency regulations and etc., etc. And if I'm not wrong, if in the elections Congress is majority, cryptocurrency bill might be passed. If it doesn't win majority, BJP continues, it might still be the same case. So we are keeping our fingers crossed. With respect to blockchain bills, some bills to be passed in the government and stuff like that. But blockchain together as a thing is on a very, very fast growth. It is a very good space for especially audit, governance, and accountants people like you to basically get it captured, right? So you can all take leverages of it, right? So I think so I'm pretty much. I think I've given some basic awareness. You cannot be a blockchain expert over a session, and I took good 7-8 months after detailed study and looking at live products. Investing some, seeing the way the product work and etc. Only I was able to understand this. So, but I think at least I've planted the thought of what a blockchain is and etc. So that you guys can go back and do your bit of research and see. Especially you can go to KPMG's white paper page. There's a lot of white paper released on your chartered accountancy and how blockchain can help your chartered accountancy across the globe and etc. You can study that and see how you can look at maybe creating a separate blockchain expert panel inside ICAI to support that blockchain companies, because if blockchain companies bills are passed, then the kind of investments FDI that will flow into the country is going to be huge. Right now, currently that is on blockage due to the bills passed by Indian government. So if that is, fingers crossed, if it goes down, then there will be a sudden boom in terms of blockchain companies' investments into the country, and that time blockchain operators will be occupied, right? So yeah, so I'm moving for questions, and thank you.
There was actually news that RBI was planning to come out with a virtual currency Lakshmi backed by RBI.
Yes, that's a nice PR. It's way far from reality. It's not going to happen anytime. So it's impossible. I mean, there'll be a lot of fights, bills, etc. We are not open. The day US dollar gets converted to crypto dollar, right? 5 years from then, you can expect that to happen, right? So that's the thing. But yes, the Lakshmi part of it was a real discussion, but I don't think it's anytime soon. No way. We are still recovering from monetization, demonetization, etc. So that's kind of far thought out. Yeah.
Some alarm is raised that the blockchain will replace the current professional work done by the auditors.
Definitely yes, but
How it happens?
definitely yes, sir. Because see now, if the way I showed you here, all it requires to at least reduce. I'm sorry to say, but reduce at least 40% of existing CAs under the professional workers is all ICAs need to do is ICA needs to strike a deal with the tallies of the world and the QuickBooks of the world and put a blockchain and start showing records. The entire auditing can at least to certain level become very automated, and 40-50% of workers might not have a job. But any such incidents is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a good 2 to 3 decades, for which people will also equip themselves to but I don't think still anybody does accounting with the notebooks and stuff like that. I think people have moved to Excel, right? And it took 30 years. Even the Chettiars of the world, the Sates of the world and the Jains of the world took 30 years, and nowhere the paper is not there. Even the basic of the basic inside Rajasthan or inside Jharkhand or inside Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they are also still on Excel sheets, right? Except the Malikadai, which is the basic accounting on the books. So that itself took 2 to 3 decades. And what we are speaking right now, sir, is at least, I don't know, 30, 40 years. I don't know. But what will happen is, I think we all will figure out on how to gel ourselves into the blockchain ecosystem and to ride along with the system rather than, to end up.
New environment. How to
Yes.
fit into it.
Yes, how do we know it from it? Like how you woke up to Tally one day and then Tally Cloud and then QuickBooks, you also wake up to blockchain. So, but that's going to take a fair bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. Nothing will happen overnight. Especially in India, it's not going to happen overnight at all. Nothing to be worried about. You sir, please.
Yeah, so what I understood is blockchain is a platform through which you can trade your cryptocurrency.
Sorry, come again, sir.
So what I've understood so far is blockchain is a platform through which you can trade in cryptocurrencies, and you have said it has grown tremendously in last few years. Do you have any statistics to prove that, like how it has grown and how prominently it has become in India now?
Simple. See, now blockchain is not a platform for cryptocurrencies. Blockchain is a technology.
It's a kind of
Yeah, it's a technology. Over blockchain, Bitcoin was built, for example. Okay, and over blockchain you can build cryptocurrencies. Over blockchain you can build supply chain software. Over blockchain you can build Uber also. Anything is possible. But Bitcoin was one of the first major use cases of blockchain. Right. Now blockchain grown is not the right statement to make. Bitcoin has grown drastically. Right. Tell me one asset, that too a virtual asset, today is valued at a good 3.5 lakhs. Gold is at what today, about 3,000 or 2,500? I don't know, right? But something very, very intangible and very so I put 1 BTC, 2 INR. It's 3,50,000 rupees today's rate, right? But if you put, for example, $1 to INR, I don't know what, 969 rupees. So this asset, if you see here, sir, now here itself, let me show you. So then if you see, I am in November 20, 2015 now, here. November 20, 2015 it's literally zero. Then people slowly start believing it. I'm in 2016, I'm in 2017, and 2017 November is when it reached its peak. 1 Bitcoin was valued at 18 lakhs Indian rupees. It went for a couple of hours.
Who is controlling this?
Demand supply. Who's controlling the value of US dollar? Demand supply. But Indian, it's not like that.
But it's not regulated by government.
It's not like by government. It's regulated. It's more driven by, I would
Who is
say.
linking those traders, the company, Bitcoin company?
Bitcoin is not a company. It's again open.
How it is traded? Like, there should be some authority to.
There's no authority. That's the beauty of it. There's no authority of
So
it.
it works through internet.
It's only works through internet. It's only works through internet. If more people start there's a process called mining, which I have not covered in this particular session. It's a little, I don't want you guys to either scold me or end up sleeping also. So I didn't cover this topic. All of you guys go and Google about. So mining is simple. Bitcoin is decentralized pathingalla. Nariya laptops and etc. etc. If I can also rent my laptop. I can rent my laptop on form of rent. They pay me coins. Bitcoin. So that is the process. That is mining in a very, very simplest term put. So everybody are contributing their. So I have a friend in Russia who's bought 40,000 computers to just give it to the Bitcoin network so that he can earn more coins.
Just to take it on the other side, suppose this Bitcoin, this whatever is this exchange, what is going on between the decentralized people, say majorly there are 5 countries involved: Japan, China,
Russia,
UK,
US,
Russia,
yes.
and the major stake is the
China.
Japan industry.
Japan, China, yes.
Okay, Japan industry is a major stakeholder. Suddenly Japan comes up with a regulation that it is Bitcoin is not valid in Japan. What will happen?
No.
So other 4 are gone.
Simple. So இப்போ என்ன ஆச்சு இந்த
That is
period
the
so இந்த period என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா இந்த period வந்து எல்லாரும் வந்து suddenly well Bitcoin my friends are all bought at 15 lakhs. Right, within a week it dropped to 3 lakhs. That is huge.
So it is so volatile.
Very
because
volatile.
it's unregulated.
Very volatile till like last year. Now it's supreme. It's actually it's been more stable than some of the stocks. Even Amazon stock has been more volatile compared to your Bitcoins and etc. Right? But what is driving? It's very similar to. So there are 3 types of currency models. One is US dollar. So weight of US dollar is in more people holding it. Demand and supply. It's fiat currency, right? China, it's completely governed by the government. Tomorrow morning, the ruling party can wake up and say, hey, lower it down by $5 and Chinese price come down by $5. That's their way of governance. India, map to your GDP, your oil, gold, and etc. etc. So, various models there. But US dollar, 1971, they cut it off from your GDPs and etc. etc. It's nothing but a paper. The more people hold it, the more US dollar goes up. And that's why US wants to do more branding. So that people carry US dollars more because of its price goes up.
So I agree it is one aspect of your blockchain, but my question was how it has helped the industries like we have automobiles, auto parts, aviation, agriculture, e-commerce.
Okay, so I will answer 2 of that in that. Automobile and agriculture, for example. Automobile, Singapore RTO system is already on blockchain. What they do is starting from the manufacturing, okay, the manufacturers such as your Toyotas or your Hondas and etc. Part, chassis number, etc. etc. They all need to record in an RTO blockchain. And coming to the
which is
dealers,
still live. It is still live.
But still
Here also,
there.
still there. The system is still
What you
there.
are saying is still there.
no, it's still there. It's again centralized. It's not decentralized. It's decentralized. Okay, centralized, decentralized. What are the major differences? I can show it, but I can show the data. But
from one hand to 100 hands. Recently.
and data manipulation that question. Data manipulation question. Are we trying to say there is no car in India that has been theft and the number has been changed? Can you assure? No. Okay. That to a large extent can be eradicated when blockchain's kind of technology basically comes into place.
So you are saying data is more vulnerable now.
100%.
Any kind of
100%. Because see, why are we suddenly talking about Cambridge Analytica, Facebook data scandal? Why is Sundar Pichai being brought over to the court to answer data things and etc.? Data is getting. Why is Ambani behind data? Right, you get it. So now why are they behind data? Why is Jio? I don't know if you know. Reliance is planning to buy over Qualcomm. Right, the news is around the air. $52 billion, one of the biggest deals in the history of mankind. $52 billion. WhatsApp even was $90 million.
What is Google's take on?
They don't hold anything. No. Google doesn't hold anything. Google is in fact anti-cryptocurrency.
Is Facebook on the blockchain?
Facebook also anti-cryptocurrency.
No. It's on blockchain or how?
No. Facebook is all very centralized.
What I understand is blockchain is a trail of transactions which cannot be modified.
That's
what
it.
you,
Exactly.
That's the simple definition.
Exactly. That's it. Exactly.
So
That's it.
regarding this decentralization part, you are saying the data is being processed by multiple persons. What is the motive of that multiple persons to process your data?
Allah,
That's
correct.
mining.
Correct.
Do they get
So,
some
to the-
reward for that, for
yeah.
mining?
Yeah, they get reward. Yes.
Or for at least managing or
Yes. For being a part of the
network?
Part of the network, you
They
get
get
rewarded.
some reward.
Yes.
Through that.
Through that.
But that Bitcoin mining and what new Bitcoin generation or what is the cryptocurrency, that's limited, right?
Limited. Yes.
After one point of
So
time, when the
2000.
Bitcoins are
Yeah,
exhausted,
you're right. Today 2019, 2140 Bitcoin mining stops.
2001.
140. Yeah. So I don't think you and me will be alive
That
there. But then,
depends on the
Huh?
transaction levels.
sorry.
If the transaction just go on a boom and entire world goes on a boom of transactions in Bitcoin, the due date, the end date comes sooner. Right?
No. End date is fixed. So algorithm of Bitcoin is fixed in such a way that 2140 varaikkum the mining will keep on happening.
It can still be extended, right?
It cannot be extended. It's a fixed algorithm. It's a fixed algorithm. That's why it's beautifully covered in the Netflix movie also you can see. So it's fixed 2040. It's fixed, it's 21 million bitcoins. So already 17 million has been mined. 70 million has been mined. So we are left with another 4 million. So people are still running mining farms to basically mine more bitcoin. By 2140, then all the coins are mined. And then what will happen is only the transactions, demand supply increasing the price, decreasing the price, and etc. etc. That will only basically happen. But anyways, Bitcoin is not going to create that much of an impact. I'll tell you why. Bitcoin, the question that he has about that Lakshmi coin, or tomorrow US dollar going on crypto, or Dubai's dirham 2022, we're expecting it to be crypto dirham, right? So those kind of projects will actually what will lead the show. Bitcoins, fingers crossed, they might be forgotten also.
What about Bitcoin? But even when you come to the private network, like what you are asking for blockchain technology, RTO offices, or an agriculture, or any land records.
Yes.
What is the interest of the third party? I mean the miners there.
What is the interest of the miners? Okay.
Who is going to pay for the miners?
You're right. So what will happen is here, if in case, for example, RTO has to put up a blockchain, I can still choose to distribute it within the RTO network among the country and make them local miners. I can still run a blockchain project without cryptocurrencies also. Not that. So if just to clarify that.
Works on majority principle.
Yeah, mining பண்ணனும் coin வந்தா தான் வந்து blockchain பண்ண முடியும்ங்கிறதே கிடையாது. That was the whole key behind IBM's Hyperledger. You can still do professional blockchain. Australian postal system right now is on blockchain. Zero cryptocurrency involved. There is no coin, nothing. It's just blockchain, transaction to transaction.
So we pay in normal dollars, is it?
Yeah, exactly. They pay normal Australian dollars. Yes. So cryptocurrency இல்லாம blockchain design பண்ண முடியுமா? பண்ண முடியும். 100% பண்ண முடியும். பண்ண முடியாதெல்லாம் கிடையாது.
No, how does it work? This mining, how does it work? I mean, 51% is okay, means it will be two transaction, or how is it? I mean,
see, it's about, let's say, the number of systems. See, mining, the reason I didn't cover it, there are 35 different types of minings. Bitcoin is the most complex. It's called proof of work. Video the better hardware, better miner. But there is POS. So Bitcoin, it says it will consume up to 1.8% of world's electricity, etc. etc. There are hoaxes over there. So proof of work, proof of stake, delegated proof of stake. There are 36 different mining methodologies.
No, who has to authenticate that? I mean,
sorry?
See,
that is among the peers.
No, this is a decentralized group. You and him are transacting. Why am I to authenticate that?
What
is my interest there?
And the demo, coin all the other you basically mine out of it. Now, you remember I made a demo here, like showing 500 rupees, people are there. So for them to participate in saying, hey, I have recorded the transaction.
No, but I don't know him. Why will I?
That's the whole concept of blockchain, no? You do not know people, but as long as there are enough number of systems having your transaction, I tend to trust that. Rather than trusting one single party or one single third party coming and saying, I trust you.
Can you just throw a small example?
So suppose if you are saying an example of ICA introducing a blockchain into ICA system.
Right.
So entire computers in ICA will be the miners of this blockchain, right?
Possible, yeah, possible.
So what, apart from that, these systems, if all the third parties, all the chartered accountants in their offices want to be a part of this mining system, what will be the interest of those parties getting into the network?
Okay, this could be solved in multiple ways. One is, for example, by you introducing an ICA coin. Okay, but that again comes into the cryptocurrency part of it. We can still leave it. Or the other aspect of it is to completely remove the coin part of it, but just for the interest of the trust and transparency, without giving coins to miners, you can still buy out systems, data centers, or Amazon Web Services and set up mining. But you can choose to make revenue by ID verification, ID certification, and the money para mudiyum. Right? For example, if I need to set up a mining, I can buy out 10 computers and I can put it, but I'm not paying the 10 computers to be a part of it because I bought it already. But I need to recover the money. But from the data that I'm storing on the blockchain, I will look at verifying issuance of data. I can do the revenue model in multiple different manners. So what I do is, if you can send me your email thread of this group, I will share with you a very detailed documents about mining. You can basically read that very, very clearly, explaining that. Right? How a POW works, how a POS works, how a DPOS works, etc. etc. See, now for example, if a government is doing a blockchain, they don't want to give it as open. Anybody can come and plug in, right? They will hold it very bright. Take for example, if Indian voting, the elections come on blockchain, they will not give it as open. Anybody can store transaction, etc. Because why would Santosh computer want to store which person voted for whom? They will not do that. So what Election Commission will do is they will set up private data centers to hold the data for the decentralized trusted part, but in the cryptocurrency only that they are doing it for the sake of the trust and transparency that they are committing to the citizens. So that need not be a cryptocurrency. Everything need not be looked from a financial monetary perspective. That's it.
But a private blockchain
Yeah.
is as vulnerable as a normal data
Correct.
center.
You're right.
Am I right?
You're right.
So there is
You're
no
right.
great trust because of that.
Correct, you're right. But the only thing is, if your private blockchain needs to talk to a public blockchain, like he rightly said, ICC can have a blockchain and they can tamper it, right? If SBI has a blockchain, they can tamper it, but the data that SBI and ICA talks to the RBI blockchain, that cannot be tampered and they need to be in consensus. So, you sort of right, the private blockchain, now just because I can have 10 people and I bring 7 computers onto my control, I can still overrule the system. That possibility is there. But the moment public blockchain comes into the picture, tampering becomes a problem. I mean, tampering becomes immutable.
Because of what I was doing, say large the companies today, suppose we as auditors, we look at ERP of SAP or something.
Right.
Say tomorrow in say another 5 years, big companies of India, including the Tatas, somebody,
Correct.
they move to blockchain.
Correct.
But still they will store this accounting and bookkeeping and everything and maybe in a private blockchain.
Correct.
So can we say that as auditors, is it the best system, better than SAP? Can we say that?
A smart guy won't believe it.
Right.
A smart guy won't believe it. So Big Bazaar is working on something on the retail chain, right? It has all the money. Future Group has all the money and technology and people to do it by themselves, holding it as a private blockchain. But beautifully, what they have done is they have opened the tender for Neil Grease to be a node and a miner, for the Big Basket to be a node and a miner, Big Basket to be a node and a miner, and your Reliance Fresh to be a node and a miner, your Trinetras to be a node and a miner. So they want to create that community-oriented blockchain. But exactly. Now, if Big Bazaar says, "Hey, I'm doing my own, what do you call it, private blockchain," I wouldn't trust it, because they will still do the price manipulation. So they have. So they have allocated $50 million to create something called the retail chain. It's headed by, blockchain. Right? So they want to bring the retail, logistics, procurement, billing, POS.
So even consumers will be part of this blockchain?
Could be. For example, I buy a tomato. I want to know where did this come from. You call it Ooty tomato or Ooty apple. Did it really come from Ooty? I deserve the information in the RTA, Right to Information Act, right? So all I need to do is scan the barcode under the blockchain, and since now it stores, now the current POS doesn't store where it comes from or not. It only does the billing part of it. Now if I store it, இது எங்கிருந்து வந்தது, எந்த லாரியில் டிரான்ஸ்போர்ட்டேஷன் ஆச்சு, எந்த ஃபார்ம்லேருந்து வந்தது, எண்ட் கன்சூமர் வரைக்கும் பண்ண முடியும். இது இன்னைக்கு வேணால் உங்களுக்கு ஜோக்காக தெரியலாம். But tomorrow when government passes the bill in a more serious manner for data acts, when GDPR is coming in and etc. GDPR audit was failure in India. 63% of Indian companies are not ready for GDPR. Right? Calling other person and asking you want a loan is illegal. Technically illegal. It's intrusion of privacy. I can sue the company, but do we care? We don't care. India has been like that for quite some time. So அப்படின்ட்டு இருக்கும்போது, so that's the. See here. So Future Group basically sent an invite to all the major retailers to be a part of the mining system, so that it is a very retail industry specific blockchain things with that. So so if only because alone did that launch the blockchain, I wouldn't trust it.
Right.
I wouldn't trust it at all. Then what is the difference between an ERP and this? And blockchain will come in only when there is trust required. Just because your database replace பண்ணனும்ங்கறதுக்காக blockchain யூஸ் பண்ணனும் அவசியம் கிடையாது. So there can be a lot of arenas still running on traditional technologies. Blockchain is absolutely not needed. Blockchain is needed only when two parties trust mismatches of it.
The front end will be the same, right?
Front end is pretty much the same. It's a website end of the day, it's an app end of the day. Only the back end technology is the.
So our QuickBooks or Tally will look the same.
They look the same.
Only the back end technology will be blockchain.
Yes. இப்போ for example I'll tell you, Zoba Corp தெரியும் கண்டிப்பா. Right? MCA ventures இருக்கு. Zoba can change my DIN number and can display on the website. You agree?
Right.
Correct? Right? Blockchain is another You get it? Zoba gets an API from MCA and pulls in and shows my DIN and the companies that I am a part of when I was assigned as a designated director, etc. etc. Yes, it has chosen to act pretty wisely and etc. But Zoba if required, they can still muddle with the backend and come and change the DIN and etc. and can help you with the fraud if required. Right? அதெல்லாம் வந்து blockchain avoid பண்ண முடியும். So now there is a trust element between us and Zoba. I know, and it's powered by MCA ஒரு guidelines இருக்கு. Is blockchain really needed for Zoba ன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா கண்டிப்பா தேவையில்லை. Right? Because they are tightly governed by the MCA, they do the data checks all properly, so தேவை கிடையாது. Whenever there is a party to party trust mishappening, only then there is a significant purpose for blockchain. Just because that's blockchain, hey, I'm also blockchain enabled doesn't make any sense.
That is how it's going to happen next 10 years, if I'm not wrong. I'm also blockchain.
India is always like that. In India, every guy with a camera is a photographer, right? Every 2 years old experienced guy is a consultant. Same way, every company will be blockchain enabled.
No, I think it's entire world.
Sorry?
It's in the entire world, not
exactly.
in India.
Exactly, right? So, unless there is failure of trust, then there is actually no use for blockchain at all. That's the only thing.
So there is a news, I don't know the veracity of it.
Okay.
The money stashed abroad has been converted into Bitcoin.
100%.
And escaped the
200%.
government surveillance.
I'll tell from Chennai, it's what you're talking about. Cameras. Yeah, definitely. Definitely is that, and there are 100 ways to basically take it into cryptocurrency. Affordability fails there, number one. The money is completely lost into an ocean, and people convert it into cryptocurrency, sending from, if I get my payment from Dubai, it takes 1 day, 2 days. Right? If I get my payment from tier 2 countries like Mexico, for example, if my client is there, it takes me good 5 days, 6 days. Sometimes Singapore money itself takes 3 days, 4 days for me. Bitcoin is not like that. I can send money from here to anywhere in the world in less than a minute itself, right? So what people do is, நீங்க சொல்றது நடக்க தான் செய்யுது. அது சில லீகல் கண்ட்ரீஸில் கொண்டு போயிட்டு பிட்காயின் எப்போ ஹையாக இருக்கும்போது விற்கப்பட தான் செய்யுது. அது லீகலாக வெளியே எடுக்கப்பட தான் செய்யுது. அந்த ப்ராஃபிட்லேருந்து டேக்ஸ் கட்டப்பட தான் செய்யுது. அதை ப்ராப்பராக ஒயிட்டாக கொண்டு வரப்பட தான் செய்யுது. அது நடக்க தான் செய்யுது. அதனால தான் வந்து the sooner country like India gets into regulating it, right? They can definitely be of a better advantage to control it rather than saying, hey, I'm anti-blockchain. Then which means you can't put case also, right? So this means they need to put in regulation. What you're saying is absolutely right. It's definitely happening. There's definitely no denial of it.
One more aspect you are mentioning regarding is government entering into blockchain for implementing all its data, right?
Yeah.
So it is being done in a private service, not in a public blockchain.
Come again?
In a private blockchain, but not a public blockchain. Right?
Depends. Voting can be completely public. Correct?
Private.
Public. Voting. Whom I vote for elections. If voting is on board on blockchain, fair voting, it can be on public blockchain. But if government wants to interact with ICAI, it's a private blockchain between 2 entities. You get it? So, depends on the use case.
Transparency in that aspect comes in a private blockchains. Like, for suppose if you have talked about EPS in Andhra Pradesh, when you have implemented one blockchain network, right?
Yes.
How come transparency is brought into that network using blockchain?
In which you're talking?
Your Andhra project.
Andhra project. See, transparency between 2 domains. Farmerக்கும் மிடில்மேனுக்கும் transparency இல்லை. மிடில்மேனுக்கும் அந்த லாஜிஸ்டிக்ஸ்க்கு transparency இல்லை. லாஜிஸ்டிக்ஸ்க்கும் கவர்மெண்ட் வாங்குது இல்லை. நீங்கள் டெண்டர் விடுறீங்க. I need let's say for example 100 tons rice ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு நான் மினிஸ்டரோட மச்சான் நானே டெண்டர் ஓப்பன் டெண்டர் கம்மியாக கோட் பண்ணி உள்ள இன்சைட் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் வாங்கி கம்மி டெண்டர் வந்த பிறகு நான் 2 ரூபா கம்மியாக கோட் பண்ணேன் எனக்கு தான் டெண்டர் வரப்போகுது. That is the first problem that we solve. We put up a bidding system. So everybody has to put a fair bid, right? As a bidder, you can access the information only after the bidding date has been closed, right? So we first solve that as a problem. So in a ration itself, there are multiple parties from farm to cleaning up and to middlemen to logistics to procurement till it. So idile vandu or 6 7 parties irukanga. You will not trust கிடையாது.
So simply digitalize the network.
That is the e-auction. Well, like
yeah, it's a e-auction. E-auction is what we brought down, the blockchain of it. Simple. The vehicles என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்னா, see other difference between a traditional system ERP and this is, இப்போ I know for a fact ஆந்திரால இருந்து தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு ஏதாவது இம்போர்ட் பண்றோம் அப்படின்னா, let's say 700 kilometers வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். 700 kilometers தான் bill வரணும். But drivers just sometimes they increase the bill and etc. do that. But I can write a smart contract saying, since we know the market prices, the logistics bills should be only within this and this. So anybody trying to upload a slightly higher bill will automatically get rejected, and it's all displayed in the smart contracts and stuff like that. So that fair trade is kind of thrusted into their throat. You get it? So it's not only about the blockchain. அந்த மேல வந்து நம்ம fair trade
So
வைக்கலாம்.
you're inserting the concept of smart contracts in each and every point.
Exactly. Yeah, we will be. It's not only about the blockchain. Blockchain பண்ணல 150 ஸ்மார்ட் கான்ட்ராக்ட் எழுதுவோம். அதுதான் மேடம். லாஜிஸ்டிக்ஸ் என்ன இதில் இருக்கணும் ஒன்றும் இல்லை. தக்காளி ப்ரைஸ் பிட்டிங்கில் கிலோ 60 ரூபா மேலே போச்சுன்னா வாங்கக்கூடாது அந்த ப்ரொக்யூர்மெண்ட் ஆளுக்கிட்ட இருந்துன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஸ்மார்ட் கான்ட்ராக்ட் விச் இஸ் நாட் பாசிபிள் இன் யூர் ட்ரெடிஷனல் சிஸ்டம் ரைட். பட் இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்மார்ட் கான்ட்ராக்ட்ஸ் தான் ஸ்மார்ட் கான்ட்ராக்ட்ஸ் ஆர் வாட் டிரைவ்ஸ் blockchain at all, because blockchain is only infrastructure. Smart contracts is the thinking bit of அதுதான்.
So everyone in the network will have access to it.
They have to access to it. They have to access it, or else they will not become part of the trade. So which means if I don't become part of the blockchain, I cannot supply.
The middleman bid a higher rate, then the farmer should know that. And the
Obviously, you
customer
know that. Exactly. So that's the whole idea. But இங்க ரெண்டு விதமா இருக்கு. Either they can give open information, but they can be alternatives. They can choose to hide the information, and the farmer can pay, let's say, 5 rupees for the information to be shown to him and etc. So he knows there is a fair trade. 5 ரூபாய் தக்காளி வாங்கி நம்பரே விற்கலங்கிறது அவனுக்கு அந்த ரைட்ஸ் இருக்கு. கவர்மெண்ட்
whatever he should have access.
எக்ஸாக்ட்லி ஆமா. ஸோ அதெல்லாம் வந்து ஸோ இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரெண்டு பார்ட்டிங்க ட்ரஸ்ட் இல்லைல்ல. ஸோ இங்கே blockchain is a good use. So that's it. Yeah.
When it comes to medical industries and kind of practitioners in USA, there is a system where area-wise there will be a agency or a government apex body which will be controlling the wearables of the doctors
Correct.
or the nurses for that matter. So where there will be a database where they can even see the average time which the doctor has spent on a patient,
Okay.
what is prescribed.
Yes.
So that tantamount to a blockchain kind of thing which they already been into existence.
It can be solved with blockchain.
Every patient has a register in that, and every doctor is in that database.
Yes.
Where the apex body will be able to
You have a
control the
pen drive?
wearables.
I have one more file to show. That's right. Anyways, okay. So healthcare is again a very very huge case for blockchain. Definitely yes. இன்னைக்கு நான் ஏன் என் ரெக்கார்ட்ஸ் அப்போலோ மட்டும் வச்சுக்கணும். அப்போலோட தான் ஸ்கேன் எடுக்கிறேன். அதை கொண்டு போய் நான் குளோபல் லெவலில் ஒத்துக்க மாட்டேன். Stupid. It's very stupid, right? Because they are saying their machines are different. So here what government should do is that they should put a healthcare blockchain and make sure every hospital become part of it. Because the scans, the prescriptions, and the medical records and etc. It's all the rights of the patient, right? And I tell you what's happening. Apollo sells the data, or the global hospital sells the data to all the medical entities etc. and stuff like that, which they are not authorized to sell, right? So here we tackle a use case and just I will show you this next.
The knife on the back side. So I'll give him this.
Right, so this is the project that we have pitched to both Qatar as well as okay, there are some rates in it, so forget the dates I opened it. Anyway, so here you can see what is happening here is the idea is to how do I zoom it? Okay, let's see. Okay.
This thing, because I looked at it, it had it in the pocket.
Okay, so here, majorly, the healthcare data is being heavily chased by companies like Apple, Google, Samsung, right? And your Fitbits. They all want your health data because they all want to know when you die, when will you get cancer, and etc. so that they can now convert that data into money, right? But I'm telling it should be the government who should be regulating it. And government, especially government in India, where 1.3 billion people are there, they should be really worried about their data going outside. Okay, but I don't see that thing happening yet, right? That's the first level of, I would say, the healthcare data mafia. The second mafia is all the Apollos of the world, or the global of the world, etc., where they store the data for themselves. So here, what we have done in Mexico is, there is a government blockchain for healthcare. Every hospital, every doctor, every practitioner should procure and display the information and become a part of the blockchain. So government knows which surgeon operated whom, which prescription was prescribed to him, what is the data, disease or whatever he has, and so hospital, once they get implemented, no more independent hospital management system, right? Even if there is an hospital management system they are using, that will be still connected to the healthcare blockchain, right? So all I need to do is I need to go in and say, hey, I took a scan at Apollo and the records are already there in the blockchain. I just need to give my phone number and my maybe validate it through my biometric and they can retrieve the information and data. Why on blockchain here is data has to be preserved. Today, including my smartwatch is right now taking how many steps I walked and etc. and who knows where this data is being stored from. As simple as that. But here the government should basically look at it. So here hospitals, after the assessment, is storing the data into their independent hospital management system. I can't go to Apollo and say, hey, change the system. Okay, so that's not going to be possible. Once they store the system, that has to be recorded into the blockchain at least on 15 minutes basis, 10 minutes basis, all the data, including all the subsets, the guy's blood group, height, weight, BMI index, health, etc. And then whatever the assessment is being recorded of me in the blockchain, it has to be validated by me. Right? I might have a cold, he will put I have cancer. Right? I should not be able to authenticate that. So there is a level of patient-based authenticity done here through biometrics, and then the data is gotten into the healthcare blockchain. Then government can take this data and use it for various purposes like predicting what should be the forecasting of medicals in the country, how many people are doing this, doing that, and etc. So because of which a lot of great problems are being solved. I can still go to in a Madurai I can get a scan for 500 rupees versus here the scan is 5,000 rupees. But both are the same, right? Fair trade is enabled. Fair trade, why? Because even the tier 1 hospitals and tier 2 hospitals, there is a fair trade. Scan will be the same, blood assessment will be the same, and etc. But that should be a government jumping out and doing that initiative rather than, if you are late, what will happen is, all this will be taken by the apps, the wearables, activity monitoring, all the Apples of the world and Samsungs of the world will hold the data, and to show how many people will be suffering for diseases in India, Apple will sell the data to Indian healthcare, or Samsung will sell data to Indian healthcare, and we will have to pay money outside the country to get our own data.
It's happening.
It's happening, definitely it's happening, 100% is happening.
In this case, you are showing two repositories. One is the hospital management system,
Yes.
and other is the doctor.
Yes.
So,
What if they modify that?
hospital management system will be, the custodian will be global
Hospital.
or Apollo. Who will be the kind of, will be a polish go that blockchain
Government அப்போ யார் மைனர் இருப்பான்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ஹெல்கோட் தான். You get it? That's the HELCOT initiative of making sure that they drive the entire blockchain expertise. There are no cryptocurrency will be involved, nothing will be involved. It's purely for doing the good aspect of it. They'll have to kind of come and.
So there will be privacy maintained for each patient.
Exactly. Yes. So it means tomorrow even Apollo, from one doctor A in Apollo to doctor B in Apollo. Let's say I went to a GP and suddenly I'm going to a heart surgeon. Data is transferred within Apollo தானே. அந்த data transfer பண்றது கூட உங்க permission எல்லாம் பண்ண முடியாம இருக்கும். You get it? If the data has to be transferred, then there also you have to do biometric verification, etc. Hey, okay, I'm allowed to do the data verification. Data governance is only possible to blockchain. All of your data will be flying.
So decentralization is only to the extent of the patient and the hospital concerned, right here.
Patient, hospital, doctors, and the government. Because doctors are sometimes not full time by the hospitals.
Yeah.
They come in and they come out and
In private
exactly.
clinics you can do.
Private clinics, yes. Private clinics also will be a part of this. Right?
What is the risk of hackers getting
Sir, blockchain cannot be tampered, sir. Blockchain on theoretically cannot be tampered. இந்த ஸ்டீவன் ஸ்பீல்பர்க் படத்தில் வர மாதிரி செம்ம ஃபியூச்சர்ஸி கம்ப்யூட்டர்ஸ்லாம் வந்ததுன்னா ப்ராப்ளம் என்னன்னு சொல்லிடுறேன். ஒரு பிளாக்கை நீங்கள் ஹேக் பண்ணுறதுக்கே கொஞ்சம் டைம் ஆகும் இல்லையா? பிளாக் செயின் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எவ்ரி மினிட் 6 பிளாக் போடுது. ஸோ பை த மொமெண்ட் யூ ட்ரை டு ஹேக் ஒன் பிளாக் தேர் இஸ் ஆல்ரெடி அதர் பிளாக். ஸோ இப்போ இதை நீங்கள் ஹேக் பண்ணணும்னா இதை ஹேக் பண்ணிட்டு தான் நீங்கள் இதுக்கு போகணும். பட் இதை ட்ரை பண்ணும்போது அடுத்த பிளாக் அதுக்குள்ளே வந்துடும். ஸோ இட் இஸ் தியரிட்டிக்கலி such a way that it is impossible to basically hack it, and there has never been a blockchain hack attempt. On paper formula வைஸ் பண்ண முடியுமானா எஸ் பண்ண முடியும். பட் அந்த லெவலுக்கான கம்ப்யூட்டிங் பவர் நம்மகிட்ட இப்போதைக்கு வந்து கிடையாததுனால that's not happened. But all the Bitcoin stolen etc. story all you hear is all front end attacks. When things are on your front end in a mobile app, on your browser in the form of web, when it is being stored on your local cache, I can take the hit. Right? So, yeah.
May not be about hacking. Can the data be taken from Bitcoin?
Sorry.
Can the data be stolen from a blockchain machine?
See, blockchain doesn't store data. Let me just clarify that. Blockchain blockchain only is a platform that allows, and so my database is still the Oracle, my database is still the MySQL, my database is still the traditional database that you use. But the entry and exit gate the blockchain now transactions. So transaction, what can go inside, what cannot go inside. So which means even if based on expression, even if Apollo computer is under Apollo's control, they want to go and modify the patient database, they are not able to do it. Though it's their own HIMS. Because the data writing policies are controlled by the blockchain, which is in turn controlled by the government. So database is still pretty much the same. So that's not our concern. So as a blockchain and a blockchain platform, we also don't store data, and that's not going to happen. Database is still the traditional oracles of the IBMs, the MySQL, etc.
In case of a transaction, all the nodes in the network need to verify that.
Yes.
So in case you said in the ICA example, they will be rewarding something. So one transaction, if you reward the 100%, it's a costly affair, right?
But that's what Bitcoin has been doing all these time.
So is that mandatory that everybody?
No, not mandatory.
Okay.
Not
So then
mandatory.
I'm
If
not
the government puts a healthcare blockchain, it can be running without any, what do you call that? See, the reason behind Bitcoin doing that was Bitcoin did not have money to basically build more computers. So they gave a rental mechanism in place. But if Indian government is planning to do this and they pass a bill that ELCOT should set up 200 data centers in the country to run a blockchain, the money is given to them. Then nobody needs money to buy systems and etc. So that's the fair logic. And we That's the only. Things got too technical from CA side to various other things, but good. So thank you so much for your wonderful time and being such a patient audience. And I am available yesterday in email, social media, and etc. You can connect to us. And if there is a thread email or something, I'll keep sharing some updates about some, especially Nigeria and African countries are moving far ahead, even compared to US, with respect to CAs on blockchain. Especially this association called ACCA is kind of pushing chartered accountancy deeply into blockchain tech and etc. So I'll keep sharing some articles and let's stay in touch and we'll see what good we can explore. Yeah, all the best. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Santosh Pravesh. So it was an interesting session. Now, can I request Vasudevan sir to hand over the memento to our speaker?
Thank you so much, sir.
May I request Shashank Surana to give a vote of thanks?
I thank Mr. Santosh. Actually, this blockchain, we read a lot of things about it in newspaper every day. In fact, just 2 days before or something, we saw this news on Economic Times wherein they said that in UAE government they are planning to implement blockchain in a big way, which will actually result in all these lawyers, accountants, and they becoming actually their requirement would actually end. So I don't know if this was a threat or actually a new area of opportunities for all the chartered accountants. I think it was very interesting when he told that there is a certification course also which is available for chartered accountants, which is not, I was not aware about it. So I think there's there's a saying which says that you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. So I think it's time that we also prepare ourselves, brace ourselves for blockchain, and I thank the institute also for actually taking up this topic, and I really thank Mr. Santosh for enlightening us, giving us at least a bit of this blockchain. So
Bit, fine, a bit.
yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you.